the Don and Lorena Meyer studio at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Jackson Ingolstad.
And I'm Sophie Farrell. A video of a UNL teacher assistant is gaining attention online after spreading Islamophobic hate speech.
Reporter Rachel Miller is here with more on this developing story. Rachel?
Video of an alleged University of Nebraska-Lincoln's physics teaching assistant harassing Muslim students on April 15th is circulating on social media. Take a listen.
Somebody put a sticker up on a post near where I live and said, Israel, Israel, and this is your true hearts. You people are evil. You are beyond demonic. You worship Prophet Muhammad, who's a pig, false prophet of Satan. Until you stop doing that, the true God, Jesus, will let your people die.
Witnesses claim the physics TA began harassing students after attending a guest speaker event for treating Palestinian survivors. A statement posted on social media today by witnesses said, "We ask the University of Nebraska-Lincoln to hold all forms of discrimination and hate accountable." Nebraska Nightly has reached out to the man in the video, the chairperson of the Physics and Astronomy Department, Ken Bloom, and Public Affairs Director Leslie Reed for comments on the incident. We are in communication with the victims who expressed concern over the incident. We will continue to investigate this controversy. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Rachel. Governor Jim Pillen is issuing a statewide burn ban until April 30th. The decision comes as firefighters work to contain a wildfire in the Sandhills. What officials are calling the Plum Creek fire started Monday after a prescribed burn spread out of control near Ainsworth. Since then, the fire has burnt an estimated 6,600 acres. Wednesday afternoon, Pillen issued an emergency declaration and the burn ban, saying Nebraska is too dry for any burns. While Lincoln residents are complaining about the recent rainy weather, other Nebraskans are likely wishing for it.
Meteorologist Dominic Ferraro is here to dive deeper into how recent dry weather is affecting other parts of Nebraska.
Thank you, Sophie. Wanted to talk about when we look at forecasting fire weather, what are we looking for? Main things that are drivers for, those wildfires spreading particularly out of control: low humidity, strong winds that allows to kind of push the fire along the landscape there. Any wind shifts you could be seeing potentially with, cold fronts, any passing boundaries, and exceptionally dry conditions. And exceptionally dry conditions is what we currently have across the state. Looking at the U.S. Drought Monitor here, all but one county, so 92 counties in Nebraska, are under some form of drought by the U.S. Drought Monitor. Dundee County there in the very southwestern corner of the state, the only county that does not have any sort of classification for drought. Top part there, especially dry where that Plum Creek fire is. Now we'll see those chances for rain coming up, especially here in southeastern Nebraska coming up in the next week. So I'll have that full forecast coming up after the break.
Their previous terminations of legal statuses on international students. 2 of the 3 UNL students who had their visas revoked have immediately regained legal status. There is no further information as to why the 3rd student's visa's termination has not been reversed. Leslie Reed, the Public Affairs Director for the University Communications, stated, "We don't know what's going on with the 3rd student. We don't really have much information about why any of this is happening. We don't have any information about why these decisions were made." The restoration came late yesterday afternoon for the 2 students. The reinstating of these students takes place after several lawsuits against the federal government. The university was notified earlier this month that the Department of Government Efficiency would cut 7 of the 8 humanities grants to UNL programs. The canceled projects were from the Center for Digital Research in the Humanities.
These research programs were founded 20 years ago to use technology to the advantage of improving humanities studies. The letter the Center for Digital Research in Humanities received from the Trump administration had no rationale as to why these grants were getting cut. A $300,000 NEH grant to digitize hundreds of thousands of Nebraska newspapers was also canceled. The grants dropped a total of $850,000.
There are no updates as of now, but the center is feeling the weight of these cuts.
University of Nebraska Kearney announced Dr. Neil Schnoor as their priority candidate for chancellor on Tuesday. Schnoor is currently president at Northern State University in South Dakota and the former chief of staff at California State University, Long Beach. He is a Nebraska native with 30 years in education and served on the UNK faculty for more than a decade. Schnoor was formally introduced as chancellor during a press conference in Lincoln Wednesday.
My roots are in Nebraska. I taught in public schools in Wakefield, Kearney, and Lincoln, and served UNK for 20 years as a member of the faculty and administration. I've also served in leadership roles, as Dr. Gold mentioned, at 4 regional comprehensive universities in 3 different states. That's why today is a very emotional day for me and my family. Nebraska, Kearney, and UNK are home.
Dr. Schnoor would succeed Chancellor Doug Christensen, who became the longest-serving chancellor in NU history during his tenure between 2002 and 2024. Schnoor will visit campus and the Kearney community over the course of 30 days as a way of building trust in the community he plans to serve.
Next on Nebraska Nightly, a look at the weather.
And we talk with a meteorology professor about hailstorms.
Stick with us.
As soon as I kicked one of my buddies in the head, I was like, yeah, we gotta go after that.
I take back what I said.
Hey, done for this?
Yeah, just kind of maxed out on people.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
You know, thanks for asking. I have been feeling just kind of off lately.
Do you want me to
Concerned about a friend? Just ask and refer them to counseling and psychological services at UNL.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. I'm meteorologist Dominic Farrar. Let's take a current look at the conditions in the capital city. Mostly cloudy skies right now, 55 degrees for that temperature. Winds out of the north between 10 and 15 miles per hour. It's a cool day, a little cooler than average as we head into the weekend here. Taking a look at satellite right now, you can see some of that heavy cloud cover is spanned across the central plains here, especially across Nebraska, Iowa, into parts of central Kansas as well. Taking a closer look here, you can see some of the low-level cloud cover coming down from the north, and then a few upper-level clouds starting to push east to west with the jet stream there working into the afternoon hours here, but mostly cloudy across a good portion of the state. But taking a look at radar right now, no sort of precipitation on our map here. As we showed in the last segment, they're definitely in need of some rain, but some rain chances coming up here in the forecast. Taking a quick look at those statewide temperatures, cooler on the western side of the state, 49 degrees in Ainsworth, 47 in North Platte, 42 for that temperature right now out in Chadron. Eastern side of the state a little warmer into the mid-50s for most of us, 54 in Norfolk, 55 in Lincoln, and 55 here in the capital city. Now, if you're heading out tonight, you're going to want to bring a jacket with you. Mostly cloudy skies for your forecast tonight. Low temperature of 44 degrees. Wind going to stick around out of the north-northeast between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Could still see a gust up to 20. And your forecast for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies. We'll see a stray shower or two possible, especially into the early afternoon hours. That high temperature of 62 degrees, winds out of the east-southeast between 5 and 10 miles per hour, gusting to 20. And of course, the Husker games tomorrow. So I want to take a look quick at that football forecast. 10 a.m. Heading out there into the low 40s or upper 40s, low 50s as we get closer to kickoff, and should raise into the low 60s here starting at 2 p.m. there in Memorial Stadium. And we'll stay a little cooler, especially heading out to the volleyball game. Definitely still bring a jacket with you as it'll be a little cooler, and that cloud cover is expected to stick around the rest of the way. Now, taking a quick look into the rest of the weekend here, Storm Prediction Center is tracking some chances of severe weather, mainly centered around central Nebraska on Sunday into Sunday night, and then closer into central Iowa on Monday. So definitely going to want to be weather aware on those days, have a way to get weather alerts. All modes of severe weather are possible, so this is something we're going to be monitoring here going into next week. Rest of your forecast here, Sunday and Monday, again, those storm chances there. 85 degrees for that high on Monday. That's going to bring a lot of that fuel we need for those storm chances. Then cooler on Tuesday, mostly sunny skies, 68 degrees for the high there. Then we'll be into the lower 70s as we work our way into the middle part of the week. Some slight cloud cover for the closing part of next week, but high temperatures about average into the mid 70s. So looking to be pretty good here. Definitely have some needed rain chances coming up. So we'll toss it back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you so much for the weather update, Dominic. Nebraska is no stranger to large hail, and this weekend there could be more on the way. The National Weather Service reports there is a chance of quarter-size hail late Sunday night. Strong thunderstorms with rotating updrafts keep hail suspended inside of clouds, allowing hail to collect layers of ice and grow larger. Dry air near the surface helps prevent hailstones from melting before they hit the ground. Professor Matthew Van de Broeke explains how meteorologists can predict the likelihood of hail.
And so some days are really moist down at the surface. Those are usually not the hail days. A lot of the time, usually there has to be a drier layer down at low levels. And we can also look for changes in the wind speed and direction with height in the atmosphere, because those are days that support rotating updrafts, which tend to be more favorable to keep hail kind of in that hail growth zone for longer, so we can get larger hail.
To prepare for hail, AAA recommends covering vehicles, getting your roof checked by professionals, and securing all outdoor furniture and belongings. Coming up on Nebraska Nightly, a scandal at the Vatican.
And a terror attack in India after the break.
Need for blood never stops. And at the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, your blood could help save lives. Right now, only 7% of the population donates blood. But imagine if there were more.
We're sitting at below a 7-day level of supply of all blood types across the board. So every blood type is important, and we need all donors of all types to come in and donate right now.
At the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, they believe that all types make a strong blood supply.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo, signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting crueltyfreekitty.com today.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. After days of mourning, Pope Francis's funeral is set to take place outside in St. Peter's Square on Saturday. Although Pope Francis simplified the papal funeral rites in a move of typical modesty, the ceremony will still be full of pomp and pageantry as the world's Catholic bid him farewell. Ivan Rodriguez has the latest from Rome.
4 days after his death, Pope Francis is lying in state inside of St. Peter's Basilica one last day. Francis's coffin is near the tomb of St. Peter, the first pope. People we spoke with say they'll remember Francis for his outspoken advocacy for the poor and insistence on a more welcoming Catholic Church.
He is a person of people.
Now, final preparations are underway across Vatican City for Francis's funeral Saturday morning. Tens of thousands of people are expected to come into St. Peter's Square to witness the funeral service. Security will also be tight because at least 10 reigning monarchs and 50 heads of state of government will be attending, including President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, and French President Emmanuel Macron.
Once in a life, you have to see the Pope. I'm sorry that I didn't have the chance to see him before when he was alive.
People are not only flocking to the Vatican to pay their respects, but also to Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore, where Pope Francis chose to be laid to rest.
It's a beautiful church, and there's a priest inside that gives you a blessing. Just such reverency, and it's very moving.
About 50,000 people came to Benedict's funeral in 2023, while around 300,000 attended John Paul's in 2005. In Rome, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The Italian government declared 5 days of national mourning ending on Saturday, the day of the funeral. A minute of silence will be held across the country as the service begins.
A retired U.S. Cardinal relieved of official duties in 2013 will have an official role in ceremonies for Pope Francis's burial, including the closure of his coffin. Retired Archbishop of Los Angeles, Cardinal Roger Mahony, is among a group of 9 cardinals and a small number of priests and bishops set to take part in the ceremonies. The 89-year-old retired as Archbishop in 2011. Internal church records revealed that in the 1980s, he and his vicar failed to remove priests accused of abuse and didn't cooperate with law enforcement. Mahony has repeatedly apologized for his handling of clerical sexual abuse. A Holy See spokesman says Mahony is the most senior cardinal priest available to take part in the ceremonies. Thursday, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles issued a statement calling Mahony's official role in the ceremonies a blessing. The Archdiocese reiterated that Mahony has always been in good standing.
Russia continues to aggressively attack Ukraine this week. At least 8 people were killed in drone strikes across the country last night, despite President Donald Trump's pleas to Russian President Vladimir Putin to stop attacking its neighbor. The strikes last night follow Thursday's attack when Russia sent 70 missiles and 145 drones towards the country, mainly targeting the country's capital city, Kyiv. Officials say at least 12 people were killed and 90 injured during that strike, the deadliest in almost 9 months of conflict. These attacks frustrate world leaders as the progress towards a peace deal continue to stagger.
A group of terrorists opened fire on tourists in Kashmir, India this past Tuesday. The Resistance Front, an Islamic terror group from Pakistan, separated men from women and children before shooting them. The 26 victims of the shooting were forced to recite Islamic prayers to prove their faith. 20 other individuals are also reported to be injured in the attack. Wednesday, following the attack, India accused Pakistan of supporting terror groups in the region. The two countries' relationship continues to falter. New Delhi downgraded ties with Islamabad, shut down a key border crossing, and suspended a crucial water-sharing agreement. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi promised crowds in India that the country is fighting for justice.
India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done.
Vice President J.D. Vance was in India during the attack for a meeting with Prime Minister Modi and offered his condolences to the victims. This is the worst terrorist attack in India since 2008 Mumbai attacks.
Still ahead on Nebraska Nightly. All the latest on men's basketball and baseball.
And an in-depth look at the women's soccer team. That and more after the break.
Okay, so how about this much?
I don't know.
Well, how about this much?
I don't know.
How about...
Actually, I don't know.
Okay, maybe this much?
I don't know.
The very tip of your pencil, a fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. That's how much it takes for a dose of fentanyl to become lethal. Learn more at realdealonfentanyl.com.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Josh Dozler. Taking a look at Nebraska basketball, it has already been a busy offseason for Fred Hoiberg and his team. 2 transfers put pen to paper and signed with Nebraska this week, with those being Will Cooper and Kendall Blue. Cooper is a 6'6" forward transferring out of Air Force. He averaged 5.3 points off the bench for the Falcons last season. Cooper saw improved minutes over his last 6 games and was able to average 11.8 points during that time. Cooper is an Omaha native and looks to provide much-needed depth for the Huskers. Kendall Blue was the other transfer to sign with the Huskers this week. Blue is a 6'6" guard from Woodbury, Minnesota, spent 3 seasons with St. Thomas, Minnesota, before deciding to transfer. Blue averaged 12.3 points per game last season and looks to add much-needed guard play following the departure of Bryce Williams. As more transfers come, the hype continues to grow for Husker basketball as fans hope for improvement from the disappointing end of season. A swing over to baseball shows that Nebraska still has yet to string everything together like they did last year.
After winning the Big Ten tournament in 2024, the Huskers are currently sitting on the bubble looking into the tournament. With the top 12 teams in the Big Ten qualifying, it is win or go home for the Huskers here on out. Currently at 13th in the Big Ten, the Huskers have a tough series against 16th place Maryland starting tonight at 5. After this weekend, the Huskers will only have series against Minnesota, Michigan, and Purdue to determine whether they make the tournament or not. Minnesota currently sits at 12th in the Big Ten, with Michigan at 10 and Purdue at 15th. The Huskers look to gain some much-needed momentum heading into postseason play. Kicking it over to soccer, Ben Draws has all you need to know about Husker soccer ahead of their match tomorrow.
Nebraska soccer is looking for a fresh start after missing the Big Ten tournament last season. With spring ball underway, head coach John Walker is focused on building a strong foundation with the younger team and is excited about their potential.
We lost a super group of experienced players, so this group, tons of energy, enthusiasm, talent, and then it's just about gaining the experience.
Nebraska has a lot of promising talent on the team, with a lot of experienced players coming back as well. One of the leaders of the team is senior midfielder Sadie Wade. Wade is excited about the new players getting acclimated to the team.
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's a really big kind of new group of girls that are coming in, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a different change from last season, but I think it's going to be for the better, and I'm really excited to see a lot of the girls in the new roles and how they do this next season.
With new roles being defined and the team trying to build chemistry, the Huskers are using spring practices to lay the groundwork for the future. Senior Lauren Anglem said that it is a time for development for the team.
Obviously, we still want to win the spring games, but it's more about development, and here is a developmental program, so that's like a really big focus for us, and it's like being uncomfortable, trying new things, growing as players so that we can be best prepared for the fall and be successful in the fall.
With Nebraska going through spring ball right now, head coach John Walker said that he is really excited to see the team's development from last year.
I think it's the development. So players maybe that have been in the program a year, sometimes two, and then you see a big jump in their play. I think that's the exciting thing. Their roles have expanded because they've improved, their confidence has improved, and so we really try to be developmental or transformational within the program. And then when you actually see them get on the field and score goals and play at a high level, it's exciting.
Nebraska will close out the spring season on Saturday as they would take on Wyoming at 4:30. Reporting from Lincoln, I'm Ben Droz, Nebraska Nightly Sports.
As we take a look at their matchup with Wyoming, the Huskers look to improve on their 6-10-1 record from last season, while the Cowboys also look to build off a 4-6-9 record with a statement against the Huskers. The game will be streamed through Nebraska News Channel or on Big Ten Plus starting at 4:30 on Saturday. So, guys, it's a big weekend for Husker sports. How do you feel about this upcoming schedule we got?
I think it's cool. I think it gives a lot of different sports the opportunity to kind of be seen during the spring game, and I know I'm excited to kind of get to see it all.
I know, and I mean, even though it's been a little bit rainy, the nicer weather, we got the spring games tomorrow for football. It's got me really hyped up. Big football, volleyball guy here. I'm really excited for the fall,
really looking forward to it. Excited.
It's gonna be a fun time. Stay tuned after the break to take a look behind the scenes at UNL's landscaping.
And for a final look at the weather, coming up on Nebraska Nightly.
Tonight on Nebraska Nightly.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. Today is Arbor Day, a Nebraska-born holiday to celebrate planting trees. As the weather is finally starting to warm up, bright colors are starting to show on those trees and flowers all over campus.
But as the foliage continues to bloom, it is a demanding task to maintain the many plants at UNL. Nebraska Nightly's Evan Donlinger talks to the team responsible for taking care of the nature on campus.
Trees in bloom and more green appears all around us. UNO students can take time on their walk to class to appreciate the beautiful foliage they see all around campus. However, what they may not notice or may even take for granted is the hardworking team behind the scenes working to keep our campus beautiful. I sat down with the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Director of Landscaping Operations to learn how his team does just that.
You know, we have a team of 65 to 70 folks that maintain the campus landscape and also remove any trash and recycling from campus. So there's teams that go out in their specifically assigned areas and they check for litter and weeds and anything that may be a problem for anybody. So that's their morning, and then we mow. Everything gets mowed weekly and mulched a couple times a year and weeded daily. So it's a variety of tasks that everyone's working on every day.
Spring is a busy time for the landscaping team as they prepare the soil and plants for the warmer weather.
So this time of year, certainly we're doing a lot of pruning. We're kind of getting things prepped. New mulch is going down, new plants are going in. We're going to be planting annual flowers here very soon. Getting our irrigation systems going. We have about 120 systems between the two campuses, so getting those started up and ready to go for the year.
While many folks have been upset with the lack of snow the past couple of winters, the landscaping team is grateful for the extra time of productivity.
Our winters have been milder the last several years, which has really helped us. We're able to do more pruning and more of that maintenance work through the winter months, so that way our springs are less compacted. You know, we don't have to squeeze as many tasks into a shorter space in the spring that way because we're able to do much more during the winter months.
Culbertson takes care of a lot of areas on both city and east campuses, but one in particular stands out as his personal favorite.
Well, Maxwell Arboretum on East Campus is really a fun place to visit. We have different collections of plants there as an arboretum. It's kind of a living museum. So, you know, what's nice about that, if you live in the community or if you're visiting in town, it's a nice place to go and kind of get an idea of what does well in Nebraska, how big does it get, you know, how is it maintained, that sort of thing.
As Culbertson preps his team for the mass amounts of planting, he talks through his strategy for planting certain plants in certain areas.
If it's an entrance area, we're obviously looking to put something in that will accentuate the entrance to that particular building. And, you know, in specific colleges, we may look for certain plants that may be associated with that field of study. You know, then there's safety is certainly part of it. So we want to make sure that the trees and shrubs, that there's good line of sight when you're walking through campus. You can see, and there's, you know, it's clear vision for the pedestrians when they're on campus, and they feel safe when they're on campus.
So if you haven't today, go out, smell the flowers, and thank the landscaping team for keeping our campus as beautiful and clean as it is. For Nebraska Nightly, Evan Donlinger.
It's been fairly nice weather in Lincoln this week, but spring provides an unseasonal reminder that it still has a few cool tricks up its sleeve.
Dominic Ferraro has more.
Well, looking ahead into the forecast here, cloudy and rainy is what we're going to be keeping an eye on. Saturday, for those Husker games, high temperature of 62, could see a stray shower in the afternoon hours. Then Sunday night into Monday, that's when we're going to start monitoring that severe weather threat. All modes of severe weather likely. We will warm up going into the start of next week with high temperatures jumping into the mid-70s and then looking into the mid-80s on Monday. But again, storm chances Sunday night into Monday. Definitely going to keep an eye on that. But I don't know. I'm personally looking forward to the Husker games tomorrow. It shouldn't be too bad weather-wise. So I'm excited to see all the Husker sports and just kind of seeing where we're at going into the season here.
Yeah, I am super excited as well, and I'm excited hopefully for some rainstorms, but I'm definitely not a fan of the hail.
I really do not want it to rain. I have an all-day-long bike ride I've had planned from Omaha to Lincoln that I've been really looking forward to, and let's hope that doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rain, but Jackson, I hope you can do your bike ride.
Yeah, and we just want to thank you so much for all the time that you have spent on Nebraska Nightly. We know that this is your last show today, so we just want to take some time to appreciate all the work you've done for us here.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. I mean, it's been a blast here. I've done this since second semester sophomore year, and excited to see how this program's grown, and I know for sure I'll be tuning in to see where you guys go after this as well. So super exciting stuff.
For those who don't know, Dominic will be joining Channel 8 full-time as a meteorologist, so they are very, very lucky to have you, Dominic.
Absolutely. Excited to continue to serve the Lincoln community here, so thank you guys.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Nebraska Nightly this week.
You can follow Nebraska Nightly on Instagram and Twitter at Nebraska Nightly.
And be sure to tune in to our next live show Tuesday at 4:45 p.m.
Have a good evening and a great weekend.
Is a production production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's College of Journalism and Mass Communications.